Hello, everybody, and welcome to World Talks, where every word matters. My name is Don Arleth. The Central Transport Hub is a massive infrastructure project which will boast Poland's largest and most modern airport. It is to be built from scratch, located some 40 kilometers southwest of Warsaw. The project is scheduled for completion in 2032 and will serve some 40 million passengers per year. Now, while that sounds rosy, the project has also been heavily criticized and even politicized, with the current government opposing the project in their electoral campaign. However, they are coming around to the idea and will make adjustments to this strategic plan. And now, here to unpack the merits of the Central Transport Hub and the new approach led by Donald Tusk's government is Professor Paweł Wojciechowski. Thank you for joining me this afternoon on TVP World.
Nice to be here.
Now, before we get started, I'd like to highlight a few of the ruling coalition's plans for the hub. Now, first they opposed it, and now Prime Minister Donald Tusk says he supports it, but that many changes are needed to make it a reality. Donald Tusk says that in order to make what he describes as a triple jump, that the project assumes is first, the high-speed rail network in Poland must be developed. Second, regional airports need to be further developed. And finally, LOT Polish Airlines needs to be developed into a larger carrier able to compete with some of the bigger European airlines. So I guess, and actually, Domański Minister of Finance had put out a tweet earlier saying that the triple jump into the future will be a cornerstone of our economy's long-term prospects. So, okay, first off, is Donald Tusk right? Will these jumps enable the Central Transport Hub to be a success?
Well, exactly like Minister Domański said, in the long run, that would be a success because Poland needs development. That was the objective of the democratic coalition parties to come up and increase the level of investments in Poland. You remember that in the last 8 years, on average, we had 17% of rate of investments to GDP, which is very mediocre in comparison, for example, to Czech Republic with 27%. So we now want to boost investments, okay? Infrastructure investments, and also goes along with climate objectives to move from road to rail and to build the capacity for airports, which is very important to be close to central in the country, and there's capacity constraints in the Chopin airport. So altogether, it's a new approach. It's called Megalopolis because we have over 30 cities, over 100,000 inhabitants. Comparing to Czech Republic, maybe there's 5 of them, dominated by Prague. So we're talking about connecting all the cities with high-speed rail, and that would be the most major investments in the high-speed rails rather than the airport itself.
Right. So part of this triple jump, of course, is the high-speed rail and developing that. It's interesting that how close the airport is in proximity to Warsaw compared to some of the other major cities, Krakow, Wrocław, Gdańsk, Poznan. They're all supposed to be within 2 hours of high-speed rail to be able to get to this. So how is the plan for high-speed rail developed under the current government as opposed to what the previous government wanted?
Well, I mean, in the previous government, there was plenty of, I would say, propaganda of doing business and building new infrastructure investment, but in fact, there is nothing happened, you know. They spent 2.7 billion zloty on this project, but there was nothing really happened except, inspiring people to have a, I would say, building the psychological bias towards these investments that could be finalized according to the previous government by 2027, which is the main element of the new strategies to make this investment realistic. So we bringing the reality to the project. This is the most important, and optimizing all the different routes and connections and the flows of traffic, passengers and cargo flows to make it more competitive, okay? And to make, for example, you mentioned the distance between different cities in terms of time. that is a proposal to have to reach every major city within 100 minutes by high-speed rail. And rather than going through the Baranów, which is the new location for the central airport hub, all the cities will be connected because people mainly travel.
More important.
This is the most important thing because people travel among the cities, you know, from agglomeration to agglomeration rather than going to Baranów, to the central hub. So the concept is a little bit different, but is vital to development. That will be a biggest project in Central and Eastern Europe, you know, in the next 20 years.
Development of regional airports. Why is that important? The first thing that pops into my mind is Radom.
Right, but that, again, Radom was built as a bridge concept before this Baranów airport will be set up. So the government said, well, we need some redundancy to create a new airport because we'll reach the capacity of Chopin Airport. Now, they talk about 300,000 passengers in Radom. In fact, in the first years of operation, we had 100,000 passengers. And it's much below the break-even point, which is around 1.7 million passengers. So it's 17 times less than expected to have a break-even. So it's completely, it's a nonsense. It's a political motivated investment, like other investments of the previous government. So now moving back to the reality. The government said, you know, we want to increase the capacity of Chopin Airport because Polish carrier LOT, Polish national carrier, Polish Airlines called LOT, needs the capacity to become a hub and then transfer the passengers and the connections from a Chopin Airport to the new airport in Baranów. At the same time, we're talking about the elements of connectivity, okay, that would be built before the move is made. For example, you know, building highway, more capacity highways, doubling the capacity, investing in so-called Y connection, which goes from Warsaw to Łódź and to Poznań, and from Warsaw to Baranów to Wrocław. So it's altogether is a better sequencing of the project. So it's more realistic. Second of all, it's more wise thinking about the money spent, which is the money of taxpayers.
Certainly. Now, we are unfortunately running out of time. I had a lot of items on the agenda for us, but I'd like to ask you about the European Council approving the measure which shapes the development of the European transport corridors. Now, Professor, you've dealt with that as European coordinator. The central hub was added to these European coordinators, and what's more is that the corridors are to extend to Ukraine. So how does the central transport hub fit into this strategy or fit into these corridors leading to Ukraine?
Well, this is an excellent question because, in fact, the European Commission, with the help of the European coordinators, elaborated the map of new connections. The connectivity goes beyond the European Union to the accession countries and to including Ukraine, to Mariupol. So you can imagine that this is a hope for Ukraine to rebuild and to build the new airlines on the same compliance level as the European Union, because every country has its own compliance on rail. So it's a connectivity through rail mainly rather than roads and, for example, planes. But altogether, it creates a common European transport space to increase mobility and efficiency of the, you know, the European networks. So I think it's a good move. It's happened that this approval was made just a week ago. And the central transportation hub, which will be placed with the airport in Baranów, which would be for amount about 20% of the money would be allocated to this hub, right, and 80% to the rail network. This hub is part of this trans-European network. So altogether, it goes along with the transport policy of the European Union.
Okay, well, Professor, I thank you very much. Professor Wojciechowski, thank you very much for joining me today and discussing this. I'd love to have you on a little bit longer, so hopefully we can do that in the future.
Thank you very much.